love to be able to work with somebody where they're at and help them make those steps forward, whether that's in their spiritual walk, athletically, when it comes to a team, an organization, leadership, a business. I mean, that's the thing that I get super excited about when I see it.
So your purpose in life is to be a bridge.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And how does that make your heart feel to know that you discovered it?
Oh, I mean, it was incredible because I'll tell you, it was the most awkward moment. I was getting ready to go speak. This is probably 9.
I've been through a lot. And only one thing ever really sticks to me. No matter what I go through, it always affects me. When I hustle up or don't have a dime, I'ma go mine. Good times and the bad times, they heavy on my mind. Tapered up or I'm starched down. Either way is mine. I feel fine, but everything around affect my vivid mind.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to a Vivid Mind podcast, the official podcast for Young and Cultured Luxury Lifestyle brand. I'm your host, the king of all things dope, King Dope, aka Sid. And today we got another special guest on.
What's going on?
This guy here ended up on the podcast because as I was searching for interesting and successful guests, you popped up as one of those potential people. And I'm going to be honest, I was looking at people who was associated with the news and all of that.
Yeah.
And you popped up in pictures with them and as somebody that may be interesting to follow and friend.
Interesting and successful. Those are great words to be around. So I take that as an honor.
So in this case, the algorithm worked in your favor.
There you go. I'll have to pay Google well then. Thank you very much. Yeah.
So I would like to introduce you guys to Todd Greer. So Todd.
Yeah.
Before I get into anything,
okay.
Pete, we're going to start with a game.
Yes, please. Let's please. Here we go.
This game, first game of the day, is called Dumb Questions for Smart People.
Okay. I'm down.
All right. I have 3 questions for you.
Shoot.
Do you consider yourself lucky or always prepared?
Ooh, yes. The answer is yes. What is there's a great quote about like luck is preparation meeting opportunity or something like that. And I mean, you know, the reality is if I said that I wasn't lucky, I'd be a liar.
Okay.
But at the same time, if I said I didn't prepare with everything I do, then I'd also be a liar. So I think it's that combination of both coming together.
Okay. All right. You got away with that one.
That was cheating 100% right there. I took both.
Do you think zombies should be fast or slow? And why?
Well, I sure hope they're slow. I mean, I want to get away from them. What about you?
Of course. Well, I'm getting away either way. It don't matter.
See, it's like with a bear. Mm-hmm. You don't have to be fast. You just got to be faster than somebody else, right?
That's right.
Same thing with zombies.
That's right.
So as long as I'm faster than somebody else, I'm okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you was in a situation with Walking Dead zombies, those they be slow sometimes and then they be fast at others.
Yeah.
So they're unpredictable and they're always somewhere they shouldn't be.
That's the problem. It's the when you walk through the door and all of a sudden they're there. Yeah. It doesn't matter if you're fast or you're slow, because you're surprised and they got you. They got you. Yeah. That's a tough one right there. I mean, I would always say I'd rather be fast than slow, which therefore I would hope that they're slow rather than fast. But time and chance, man. Time and chance.
Time and chance.
I'll just be lucky. Let me go back. I wanted the other question. I want to be lucky on that one. Because prepared doesn't mean anything. I want to be lucky. There you go.
So for the last question, it's a very infamous one.
Okay.
All right, let me ask you this: are you a comic book fan? Do you watch any of the superhero stuff?
I do watch superhero stuff. Watch Marvel with my kids. So,
okay. Yeah. All right, and you watch DC stuff too? Batman, Superman, all of that.
I do.
Okay, because I'm having to start asking people ahead of time.
Yeah.
Who would win? In a fight. This is the end of their life between Iron Man and Batman.
Oof. Wow. All right, so this is where it gets interesting. Because Iron Man, if he has time to prepare, can build anything.
They both have time to prepare. Because that's their strategies. They prepare for their enemies.
All right, so which Batman am I working with, though?
The most elite version.
Okay. Because, like, I remember watching reruns of the old Adam West Batman, and the dude literally had everything on his utility belt.
Yeah.
So that's tough. Wow. Oh, gosh. They're both rich as all get out.
Yep.
Neither of them is blessed with superpowers in the traditional sense like some of the others.
Yeah. Tony's superpower is his intelligence. Batman's superpower is his resilience.
Yeah. Tony's a little arrogant sometimes, so I think he oversteps. So I would probably take Batman on that.
You sure?
I mean, you step back and you think about it. Now, some of the science that Tony has, you got. But if I've got Alfred in my corner.
Come on, Alfred compared to Pepper Potts, though.
Alfred's the OG. He's been around forever.
Yes, that's true.
He's got the wisdom on his side.
That's
Pepper's
true.
Great, but
Pepper's as smart as Tony. Matter of fact, she outsmarts him the whole ride.
And she's got enough humility to be aware of what's going on. So, yeah, wow. It feels like you've got a take on this, so said, right? Because I think as soon as I started to push towards Batman, you were like...
I play Heavenly Advocate. Because I see the strengths and weaknesses in both characters.
Okay.
And ultimately, it's kind of like, what's the difference between a fact and the truth? You get what I'm saying?
Yep.
Most people think they're synonymous, and they're not.
Yeah.
And so, to be honest, it could go either way for me.
Sure.
It really depends on the motivation of the situation.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? So, if Tony's thinking about his kids, what he means to the world... what Cap's gonna think about him losing this fight. I'm way better looking than Thor. Like, if all of that stuff is his motivation,
sure.
Then he's like, and then if Bruce thinks about the fact, like, I'll never really figure out what happened to my parents.
I was gonna say that's the thing. It's like what's driving him? If he's in his dark mode, then there's a killer in him.
Yeah. And if he thinks Tony is the only thing in his way stopping him from getting to the actual villain,
sure,
then we...
Yeah, I think Tony's got more of a sense of humor. And so, even when he's fighting, there's always the joke or the barb that he's going to throw out there where I think, when Batman goes in and he's really fighting...
It gets a little intense.
It's dark. It's dark. There's a reason he's the Dark Knight, right? So... Poof. But I mean, Tony can build some stuff too.
Yes.
The amount of rocketry that he has and bombs and firepower. That's a tough one.
You want to still go with Batman?
I'm going to go Batman. I got to go Batman. I'm going to give love because the guy that's like my little brother, like he lived the Batman life as a kid. Like he embodied Batman at one point. Really? Like he was like, I don't answer by my name anymore.
His name was Batman.
So I mean, you got to give love there. So I'm gonna go. Cool. I'm gonna go back to some youth right there.
Okay, then. Yeah. Well, that's acceptable.
Yeah.
So, like I said, I met you. Well, I come across your profile searching for other. Whom I like to say current and future superstars. Anybody who's allowed on this platform is a superstar. The crowd just doesn't know it yet.
I appreciate that.
So I saw, first thing that got me was he has a very professional photo. I was like, this is a nice looking
Which
photo.
one?
You got your bow tie on. I was like, this is a nice looking photo. And then I clicked on your profile and I seen that you had ties to some very prestigious jobs. And I was just like, okay, that's all I need to see. He looks like he's done some interesting things, and he knows some things that can unlock people's brains in a simple conversation. So take us back to the beginning, like your formidable years. Who were your parents? Who was your influences?
Sure.
What were you into? Did you care about life?
Yeah, no, that's good questions. So what's funny is for most people in Mobile, they don't realize I'm actually not from Mobile. All right, so
interesting.
That's the interesting thing, and part of it is if you're listening from someplace else, the Greer last name is on billboards here. It's an old family grocery store, but I'm from Southeast Michigan, so like I grew up between Detroit and Toledo.
Wow,
and that's a lot, I would say, of like what from a beginning makes me who I am. So one. I grew up in a very blue-collar town. Everybody in the area that I'm from, you functionally, like you grow up that at least somebody in your family works for Ford. Okay. So that's what's going on. That's the early age for me. And that was, for me, it was my grandfather worked at Ford and we had some family in that area. But a lot of it really came to the fact that I saw a work ethic in my dad and my mom. So my mom was a stay-at-home mom, but the ability for her to step in at times when we as kids, like, we played sports, we did all kinds of after-school activities, and from an early age, I had a paper route. So 9 years old, my brother and I shared a paper route. My sister had a paper route. How old do you think I am? Let's start with that.
It seems like you're talking about paper routes. It's got to be the 80s.
Okay, it was. Well, yeah, so actually that would have been 90. So I was born in 81.
Oh, wow. Yeah,
so I'm an old man.
Yeah, you're older than I thought, but you're not as old as you could be.
There you go. That's a good answer. Yeah, thank you. I think we'll take that for a compliment. No, but I mean, so I started paper routes early, so the idea of having to work to get what you want. So we were talking a little bit before we got on about gaming systems.
Yeah.
And I remember as a kid, my brother and I, so my sister was the oldest, my brother's middle, and I'm the baby of the family. And I remember my dad was one of those people, high work ethic and high expectations. So like you don't just bring whatever, you bring your best.
Yeah, all the time.
And so I remember like my brother and I made a bargain with him, and this is probably like 89 or whatever. And we wanted the first Nintendo.
Yeah.
All right. So he was like, all right, so here's the deal. In order for you guys to get a Nintendo, two things have to happen. One, you both have to get straight A's. Okay. All right, Dad. Next, you got to earn the money for it. So
even if you earn the money,
earn the money, but you don't have the grades, that's exactly it. And so, it's funny, but like that cemented something in me at an early age that, you have responsibility before you get privilege. And so you had to work your way to it. And so that was something that was very deep ingrained at an early age for my whole family, was that you work hard. And then it was trying stuff. It was the ability to kind of recognize that when a door opens, a lot of times you got to take that.
Yeah.
Because you can't always get those locked doors open, and so when the opportunity present itself, you gotta go for it. So I was playing a lot of ball when I was a kid. I'm a huge sports nut. I grew up like rocking with the Fab Five back in 92, 93.
Okay.
I probably read the book about them multiple times, dog-eared pages. Like those guys I love.
Do you know they still don't fully accept that they...
listen, trust me, yeah. The banners aren't up there.
Yeah, that's
you can't do
crazy.
That. Yeah. And especially in the era we live in now with name, image, and likeness. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, so I grew up with them. I grew up with the Red Wings, who were tough and crazy. I grew up with the Bad Boys, the Pistons, where Detroit, they literally fought people. I mean, they literally fought people. And so there's that grit that you have, that when you're up there, that you can't be soft and come out of that area. And so, soft doesn't mean just a physical toughness. It's really, it's about the mental and understanding that there's a collective here. So we're in it together. And so you're never going on your own. You're going with people. And I think that's one of the things that has stood out to me is, from an early age, seeing that we as human beings have a responsibility, not just for ourselves. Yeah, we have to lead first ourselves, but we have to go out and share that with people. And so, finding people in teams was always a big deal for me. So playing sports was huge. I was in broadcasting as a high school student. I loved it.
How you go from sports to... First of all, what was your sport?
Yeah, so I played baseball, and we'll get into like why sometimes you have a fear of failure and you stop. I played baseball, played tennis, and then like we were in the era like in the mid 90s where Mighty Ducks came out.
Yeah.
And so
Mighty Ducks is a great film.
we were huge, like street hockey. Like neighborhood versus neighborhood street hockey.
Yeah.
And we got into it. Like we had jerseys printed.
That's crazy.
And you know, like,
I only see that on movies.
That's right.
I've never seen like a person who actually like their neighborhood went that far.
It was next level. But that was the era in that time for us, is that we grew up with that. And you had to be tough because, you know, street hockey, you're not talking about running around with pads all the time. We were playing, I say street, but we were playing in a tennis court. I remember one time we had the net poles up, but the net's down, and I wrapped my leg playing defense. I was going back, wrapped my leg around it and flipped back, no helmet, boom, onto the pavement. So like you just learn to get up and keep going. You don't have time to cry about it.
That's right.
You just got to get going. So yeah, I mean, a lot of that I think is part of who I am. But at the same time, I mean, I had a lot of parents, a lot of grandparents, you know. So like growing up in church, it was, if I did something wrong and my parents weren't there, I had other sets of parents who were going to tell me what was going on, and they were going to take care of business. And same thing with grandparents. And so it was, you know, it was neighborhood and caring about people. So you had
a village.
Oh yeah, very much so. Very much so. And I think it's one of the tough things today is if you grow up without that village.
Yes, it's very difficult to not have a support system.
Sure.
You know, even if like as a parent, you need a break.
Oh yeah. See, I live in that world. I've got 2 kids. And it's just now to the point, my oldest is a teenager now. And so before, not being near family, so my family's in Michigan, I'm in Mobile, Alabama. I've got a brother in Tennessee, a sister in Maryland. We've got nobody on either side of our family that's here. And so when we got here, I mean, just the idea of, I need a babysitter. You know, I mean, that's a real thing, I think, for every down couple.
Here, there's like no service for that.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
You gotta know somebody.
That's right. That's right. and you gotta hope that they come.
Yeah.
You gotta hope that they come and they show up, because that's tough. So yeah, I mean, you know, all of those things are happening. But you know, one of the things I'll say as well is at an early age, I had a love of learning. You know, just a deep love of learning, and I think that's one of the most important things that has been with me throughout my career. Is, you know, I don't just want to know one thing. I want to know a lot of stuff. And so I'm one of those people that in many ways, like, I'm waiting for a trivia game because I've been preparing for it all my life. I have so much useless trivia in my brain. Yeah. And I also think in songs and movie lines. And so, you know,
this is so funny because my people who watch, and if you know me, to know me is to know that's how my brain works. And
it was funny. I mean, like, so for me, said it was, as a student, like my junior and senior year, I DJ'd for a high school radio station, and like I grew up with 90s R&B. I mean, just the straight up harmonies that you could get from them.
So what's your favorite 90s jam?
90s jam, Summertime, Will Smith. I mean, Fresh Prince. It like when the temp hits the right temp. Yeah. And you can hear that. Like it starts out with that beat and then it starts to slow down and he's mixing it. Yep. Jazzy Jeff is getting that is like the quintessential, puts me back like I'm 14 years old again, and just wow. And you lay back a little bit. Yep. You know, your windows go down because everybody's got to hear that you're listening to it, right?
That's right.
So that's that one that I think for me, it's not just that the song is fun and engaging and the lyrics are good, but it really brings me back. It really brings me back to being young again. That's pretty cool. I'm getting old, so I need to get those.
Man, that's crazy that you even mentioned that because I love entertainment.
Yeah.
You know, I love God more than anything.
Yes.
You know, so even when I'm enjoying entertainment, I never forget God exists.
Yeah.
So I watch things with a very spiritual eye.
Sure.
You know, so I notice with like, certain people shouldn't watch this. Or, you know, because I can watch it and it doesn't influence me.
Sure. Yep.
But I can understand how some people may think that is how it's supposed to go. Yep. And it's not. But yeah, I'm into the entertainment. I'm full of the one-liners from different situations. Okay. And I am a DJ.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually DJ.
So it's rolling with you all the time.
All the time. It's like certain situations will call for certain lines of songs.
Absolutely. And I'll tell you what's tough for me is to turn that off. Because I'll be sitting in a board meeting or something like that, and all of a sudden you say something and it's going to trigger it.
Yeah.
And that song has to come out, and people look at me like, what's wrong with you?
Yeah, that's exactly what they do.
I'm like, if you know me, you understand. If you know me, you understand.
A DJ's brain never stops.
That's right.
Especially when somebody blows your mind.
Yeah.
And you like, I never thought of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got a best friend who's really, really good at that.
Okay.
He's really good at mixing things together that should not go together.
You know, that's an interesting thing, because I think a lot of times we just assume the easy blends, the easy mixes. But when you can make that hard mix, when you can take two things and you bring it together and you're like, whoa, I didn't see that coming. How did that happen? That's beautiful. And really, that's life, right?
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. Every experience could be completely contrast to the last one that you had.
Sure.
But the skill set that you learned from the last one still works over here.
Absolutely. You know, and it's funny because I know we're kind of jumping around with this, but I mean, like, one of the things I tell people all the time, they ask me about my job now at Innovation Portal. I say, the thing that I love probably as much as anything, or one of the top two, I'll say that, is any given day is different. On any given day, I don't know who's coming in the building.
Yeah.
I don't know what experience is going to happen. I don't know what story I'm going to get that comes out of it, or who I'm going to meet that I'm like, wow, I didn't know this person even existed.
Yeah.
And now this is great. This is a connection. This is life. And it makes the community smaller. So it goes back to that village piece that we were talking about. You know, I'm not from here. I'm 8 years into Mobile, but there's a whole village I've got now because on any given day, you never know what's going to happen.
And how wonderful is it to have a village of like-minded individuals? It puts you in a different energy space.
Sure.
And I feel like being in that different energy space will vibrate you towards the direction you need to go.
Absolutely.
You know, it'll call things to you that you wouldn't have been able to access prior.
Yeah, and I think just being around people that have that same focus, that same drive, that same enthusiasm. Because, I mean, you think about it, I mean, anytime you're creating something, you hit the dry spell. Anytime you're creating something, you hit the wall and you just think, man, how am I going to get past this? How am I going to get through this? But I think there's so much about being in community. So some of it is having people that you look at and you see what's going on and you're like, man, they're still driving. This hit them, they're still driving. I've got that opportunity. I'm going to keep going. Other times you see what they're doing and you're like, whoa, it just unlocks a connection sometimes. And you step back and you start thinking about, you know, if I see this and I apply what's happening here over here, what's the lesson that I can get? Where's that new opportunity at? So, I mean, I think there's so much about surrounding yourself with people. And to me, like, I love surrounding myself with people who aren't me.
Exactly.
You know, I'm like, I'm okay with me. I'm fine. I love the shirt you got on, humble. That sense of humility is such a huge part. But I'm cool with me. I know I have lived with myself for 41 years. I don't need a bunch of me. What I need other people who fill out my life and who complete the things I think that God ordained for us in the sense of just being able to see it all. So, yeah.
Man, you talking that talk right there. That's the reason why I even created this platform, is simply because I'm on my journey to my first million.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not next to it right now, but I feel like I'm right next to it, if that makes any sense at all. I feel like I'm literally a break moment away from it being here.
Sure.
You know, so I created this platform to basically give people a eyeball in the room, because it really doesn't matter who I speak with.
Yeah.
I once had a man tell me I just have very trusting eyes and a calming voice, and he said that's why people tell you their secrets, you know. And I just trusted in what he said.
Yeah.
But in all honesty, I feel like it's because you can feel the sincerity in when I'm speaking.
You know, we live in a world that it's hard. It's hard for us to listen anymore. And so I think the fact that you have intentionally gone out and you're seeking to listen. Yeah, you're directing a conversation, but you're listening. You know, and I think if we step back and we look at it, the reality is, if I'm talking all the time, what am I learning?
Not a thing.
That's it. I'm only trying to reinforce my own thought.
Yeah. You know, it say pray always, but meditate on the word day and night.
Yes.
And the reason why he wants you to meditate is because he wants you to actually reflect on what he is saying.
Yeah.
And if you reflect long enough, you will actually hear him speak.
You know, and that's the hard piece we were talking about before we jumped on about, you know, the devices that we have in our life. Mm-hmm. And it's hard, I think, for a lot of times for us to slow down enough just to experience that. I was talking with one of our entrepreneurs the other day, and, you know, he's a guy of faith as well. And I said, you know, if you look at some of the most brilliant thinkers and world leaders over the course of history, one of the things that they have done is they've all made space to walk. And I'm not talking like 5-minute walk. I'm talking like an hour-long walk. And I said, why do you think that is? And he was like, I mean, hey, it's good for your health. I'm like, yeah, absolutely. Mm-hmm. You get out and walk, it's good for your health. But it's also good for your brain. Because the amazing thing that happens a lot of times is our best ideas, they don't come from sitting and pushing at something. They come
at your most relaxed.
Right? Yeah. It's why everybody has that in the shower moment or on the toilet moment, right? It's the toilet.
And I'm gonna tell you my new one. And here's a tip for people. It's at the movies.
Okay.
Because my brain is distracted.
You're living in the world that they've created. Yeah, yeah. Okay. All right. I get it.
It's at the movies and it's after a nap.
Yeah.
Naps are vital for me. Like I can go to sleep right now.
Yeah.
Like talking to you
every weekend. Well, I hope you don't do it while I'm talking.
Oh no, you're not boring.
Okay, all right, good. We're
Thank
good
God.
There. Yeah, but I agree 100%. So the Nappuccino is a friend of mine right now. You know what I'm talking about?
I know exactly what you're talking about. Give me a few seconds.
There's actually like been research about
micro nap.
Drink the coffee. Get yourself a 15-20 minute nap. And as soon as that caffeine's starting to hit and you're coming out of that nap, it's like jet fuel.
Oh, because all right. So it's the same thing I do with if I eat some candy before I go.
There you go.
It's the same exact thing.
Yep. Because that sugar rush will start to trigger right as you're coming out.
It kick in about 15, 20 minutes.
Yep.
And you good to go.
That's right.
B12s work just as good. All right, y'all. So what we about to do is we about to take a quick break. And we're going to jump right back into it. What it do, family? This your boy Sid, aka King Dope, the king of all things dope. Hey, I just kind of let you know I just dropped another gem for you. Hey, what I need you to do is pick up your device, go to the nearest streaming app you have, wherever you listen to music. I'm letting you know I dropped an album to go along with the podcast. Yes, and to make it easy, I named it the same thing, A Vivid Mind. So, on wherever you like to find your music, look up A Vivid Mind, and it's by the artist known as King Dope. That it would be me. You can look up King Dope, KINGDOPE, or you can look up A Vivid Mind. You know, if I was really into coffee, the Nappuccino would be my thing. But we don't even want to talk about what coffee do to me. Yeah.
Okay.
It made me go sit down and think.
Fair enough.
As my mama said, I'm finna go think about my life. And coincidentally, I'm infamous for that as well at work.
Yeah.
If you can't find Sid, he's in the restroom.
Yeah, understood. My mom has joked throughout my life. She said, I know when we're getting ready to leave, we will be out in the car, and there will be one person inside, and we know exactly where he's going to be. Got to take care of business.
When you got to go, you got to go.
Got to take care of business.
Because you die if you hold that too long.
That's right.
And that's
right. That's right. That's a really important part. Look, everybody out there, prioritize things in your schedule like that. Yep.
Please do.
Yep.
And figure out how to do it in 10 minutes. That's a tip. Figure out how to do it in 10 minutes.
There you go.
They won't miss you as long.
That's right.
So you say about 14 you really discovered DJing.
So I was more like 16 when I discovered.
Okay, then. So it's high school time.
Yeah, it's high school.
So you doing high school parties and.
So we did like the school stuff. So we had the school equipment.
Oh, okay.
Which literally was the hand-me-down from the radio station. So like that was another thing we had to do. We had to figure out, like, well, they gave us the hand-me-down stuff, so you don't necessarily have all the cables right. Mm-hmm. So you got to figure out if I do this to this and this to this. So, I mean, even the idea of problem solving and thinking on my feet, all of those things kind of came from that, because it was, it was before we had everything wireless that we could do all this stuff. I mean, like, you think about, here we are, we're sitting on a podcast, we got multiple cameras set up, we've got multiple mics, we're playing into that, and we're running it off of a computer.
Yes.
So now we have a little bit more that we bring together. But back then I remember, I had to call a football game over a telephone line back to the station onto the soundboard, and you're functionally almost like putting the other telephone up to the mic and trying to get the quality out of that. So I mean, but we learned all kinds of stuff. You learn about how do you think on your feet, which is what makes hosting so much fun, right?
Yes.
Because then you're like, oh man, that triggers that, and then we go for that. Yeah, so I've never met a mic that I didn't like, because I always enjoy the conversation that follows.
That's true.
So, I mean, those are huge formative times to be able to go through that. Yeah.
So while you was doing all of these events for the school, were you also playing sports at the school, or?
Yeah, I was playing sports. I sang in choir, acted in shows. I mean, I really looked at my high school experience as, how do I take every ounce out of it that's good, that I can enjoy, and really just learn from it. So there were things that I learned. I mean, like, I kind of alluded to this before. I gave up baseball. Loved baseball. Baseball was my passion. And I gave it up. And the reality is, I gave it up because I had a fear of failure. I had a fear.
So you knew you weren't going to make it.
Well, I had a fear. Who knows if I was going to make it?
Yeah.
So I told myself that there was a chance, and because there was a chance, I just backed out.
You bagged out.
And
But I mean, ultimately, that's why you weren't going to make it.
Oh, yeah.
Do you understand? Because you never thought you were going to make it.
I think it's Henry Ford said something like, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right.
Exactly. And that is a fact.
Yeah.
You say, you have not because you have not.
Sure.
The way that you even receive salvation is because you believe that he is who he say he is.
Sure.
If you never make the statement, he say believe and confess with your mouth, because they know you can believe something, and if you never say it, it ain't real to you.
You got to act on it. You got to act on it. Got to act on it.
That's that first step. And I honestly feel like that's why Peter started, why he drowned.
Sure.
Was because one moment he believed, and then when he was believing what the Lord had told him, he actually stopped believing. You ever did that before? You're like, I can't believe I'm doing this. And it was like, I can't. Whoop.
Sure. I think it happens a lot of times. I mean, you think about it, you're out there and you're doing something that's beyond what you expected out of yourself. Yes. And then you start to question yourself. Well, I couldn't, and then all of a sudden, pew.
It just goes straight down.
Yeah, it happens. And I think it's tough, but I mean, we've got to continue to keep pushing when those kinds of things happen and keep stepping out. I mean, at the same time, as much as like I would throw Peter under the bus for something like that, you step back and you look at it, how many other disciples got out of the boat?
What you say? Nobody.
Ain't nobody else.
Nobody
else.
And I think Jesus knew that though. Like,
he
knew they with me, but they ain't with me the way you is, Peter.
Yeah, and I mean, you step back and you see, I would rather somebody who is willing to try and fail than somebody who's never willing to try at all.
The interesting thing people don't really talk about is the moment really wasn't over.
No.
Jesus kind of asked him to do it again.
That's right.
And he refused. He was too afraid to try again. So imagine if he literally would have just did it again.
Oh, yeah.
Which proves consistency.
Yes.
Consistency will equate to product eventually.
Well, and you look at it, there's a lot about when you screw something up, you want to get back out and do it again.
Yes.
As quick as possible to break the habit. But it's not just breaking the habit, it's breaking what happens in our brains. Because a lot of times what ends up happening in our brains is we start to lock in that moment. You ready to get real deep academic for a second?
Let's go.
All right, it's called triadic reciprocal processing.
Triadic reciprocal processing.
All right. And what that is you've got three things that are working together. We have a self-efficacy, a belief that we can do something. We have actions and we have reinforcement. Okay. So a belief, action, and reinforcement. And those three things, they work together and they are processing together. So if I believe that I cannot, I will act as if I can't, which will be reinforced that I cannot, which will only continue to reduce my belief.
Understood.
All right. But if you do because you believe that you can, the reinforcement and the actions are going to correspond, and then you'll continue to see somebody excel. Right. So it's the same thing. If you step back and you look at it, there's really cool, interesting studies about times that teachers have been told that all these kids in their classroom are high performers.
Yeah.
All right. They just picked them randomly. There's no high and low.
Yeah.
But when we treat people as if that they are high performers, then they become high performers because all of a sudden their self-perception is changed on that reinforcement that happens.
So that has been the encompassment of my entire life. My dad, he recently just passed on June 7th.
Ooh, I'm sorry.
It's okay. He's always taught me, he was like, don't worry about these conditions. Just know you smarter than most of these people out here.
Yeah.
It's just something he's always told me.
Yeah.
He didn't mean it in a very arrogant way.
Sure.
He say, don't take that as a way to mistreat anybody or do anybody harm. Just understand how smart you really are.
Yeah.
And if you understand that, you could do anything.
I mean, and what he locked you in on is a belief in yourself.
That's exactly it.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
And then my mom, because they weren't together.
Yeah.
You know, my dad made sure I knew the world.
Okay.
That's what he said his job was.
Yep.
I'm gonna show you the world. I'm gonna expose you to the world, the real world. So
Yeah.
he took me to the hood. He let me see poverty.
Sure.
And he would be there hanging out.
Yeah.
So it isn't like, look at them. You know, it's
Sure.
like these are your people.
Yep.
This is what he taught me.
Yep.
These are your people. You better know when they see you, you shake their hand.
That's
you
right.
treat them with respect.
Yeah.
You show them. You get what I'm saying? You
That's right.
talk to them right. However, he was living a little bit better than them.
Yeah.
But not what I would equate as good as my mom on this side. So my mom is from poverty as well, but it's more of not a city poverty, it's a country poverty.
Okay.
So she built her life up as a nurse.
Yeah.
You know, and had us basically in suburbia, you know, as best as she could. And in that environment, I always had something to eat. Even if it was something I didn't want. There was something I was there.
Yeah.
I was always able to take a bath.
Yep.
I was always able to have lights on and all of that kind of stuff. And her thing was her parents didn't allow for her to try whatever she wanted.
Okay.
So I should.
Yeah.
If I think I could do it, try.
Yeah. So this is cool here because you had a sense of you're never too good. Okay. Because I think that's an important piece. If I think I'm ever too good for something, then I lose roots. Okay. But at the same time, you had enough support and care that you never lost sight of the fact that you could. You could. Because I think if we don't have, and it's a point that we're left alone, then that downward spiral is easy to happen.
Yes.
But like when you've got that support around you, and you look at, even in those times, it's brought back. No. You see this, you think about this, you realize this, but it keeps you grounded. Yeah. I mean, because I think one of the things about humanity is the reality is like everybody is our brother or sister.
That's
in the sense that we're in that common place, and one of the things. It's a quote, actually came from Michigan football. One coach talking about another, he said, you think you hit a home run, but you were born on third. I mean, like, I think that there are times.
There's so many privileged people that are going through that.
Yeah, and I think that there are times, it's one, we all have to understand our own privilege.
Yes.
Because there's something or another that we've got that other people don't, or that we don't have to experience but other people do. But at the same time, you have to understand that humility word is such a big deal to me, because it's the idea that, like, I didn't build this thing on my own.
Nobody does.
Right.
But they all will tell you that.
Yeah, I mean, the idea, like, I pulled myself up by my bootstraps.
That's...
Okay, who got you the boots?
Exactly.
Who put straps on the boots? Who put a floor above? Yeah.
Who's to say that my boots got straps on them?
That's right.
Who's to say I even got shoestrings?
That's right.
You get what I'm saying?
Sure.
Like, people are really... There is a such thing as a disadvantaged situation.
Yes, absolutely.
Now, granted, there are some exceptions to the rule.
Yep.
They figured it out.
Yep.
But that is a phrase that we use for the one out of many.
Yeah.
The exception.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? And we all know the exception is a norm.
Sure.
You know, but I like to think on, people like to mention innovators like Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, not to mention the fact that Elon Musk started his first company. He started Tesla with a $200 million loan from his parents.
I was going to say, I don't know about you. My parents didn't have $200 million. Yeah. Okay, cool. We're on the same page. You know, and it's funny. It's funny that you bring that up, because that's one of the things, like, when I first meet with an entrepreneur, I start out with, hey, are you a billionaire? And they always look at me like, what?
Why?
And
are we having this conversation?
I said, are you a billionaire? No. I said, okay, at least you're not going to tell me you are. I said, cool. Are you a millionaire? Well, I mean, not yet. You know, I'm next to it. I said, okay, look, if the reality is that you're not a billionaire and you're not a millionaire, we got to do this the right way. Because we don't have money to throw at problems.
Facts.
I mean, I don't have money to build. So sweat and tears and hustle, those things I have them in spades.
Yeah.
But what I don't have is I don't have cash.
I like the way you put that. I have those things in spades.
Sure.
I mean, they winning.
That's right. I mean,
we go on a run.
You look at it, because you can't take that away.
That's facts.
I mean, you might close the door, you can't take it away. And so I think, you know, what it looks at is an understanding that we have got to invest in the things about ourselves and others that make the world better.
Man, Todd, I like you, dude.
Well, I said I feel the same way.
You a cool dude, man. You talk my talk.
But I mean, like, this is the kind of thing that when we look at life around us, we've got to, you know, you got to step in and grasp arms with somebody. This is cool. One of the coolest stories I experienced. All right. So this is a weird thing. So back 7-8 years ago, I was part of a team. In fact, I get a chance to record an episode for this. So I started a thing at a nonprofit called the Nonprofit Exchange. And it was video podcast. We were vlogging, whatever you want to call it. I mean, like 7-8 years ago. Okay. So I first got to Mobile.
When nobody was caring.
I mean, they were just, I mean, it was like my mom would tune in every now and again. And
I bet you it would be so popping right now.
I mean, yeah. Well, and it's funny. So it is celebrating, I don't know, like the 1,000th episode or something, maybe not 1,000, but it's celebrating this huge monumental moment tomorrow.
Wow.
And so we're recording this, and it started with nothing. But one of the guests I had on, I was at the time, like, I lived a lot on Twitter. So Twitter to me was the way that I could find people that I wasn't supposed to engage with, and I could throw a line out and see if they'd check in with me. So, like, you know, what's the worst they can say? No. Okay.
I hear no every day.
I didn't have it either. I didn't have it before, so I don't have it either. It's easy. But I remember I reached out to this lady, and it was so amazing. Frances Hesselbein is her name, all right? Frances, as I was kind of doing my research on her, Frances was, I think at the time, like 99 years old, all right? So my academic background is organizational leadership. I've got a Ph.D. there, and there's a guy whose work, like, he influenced so many of us, all right? He influenced so many of us. A guy by the name of Peter Drucker, all right? And she was like his best friend, all right? She was the head of the Girl Scouts of the United States in the 1990s. And around that time, President Clinton gave her the Presidential Medal of Freedom, which is the highest award that a citizen, a non-military personnel can get, all right? So I reached out and I was like, hey, I'd love to do an episode with you. I mean, much like you reached out to me, I don't know you, you don't know me, but I like you and I want to get to know you. So So we did, and we ended up having a couple episodes, and she wrote for the magazine that I was working alongside that. And I asked her one time, I was like, Frances, you literally have met every world leader. Mm-hmm. You have spoken before so many corporate CEOs. Why me? Like, why would you take time to answer my message and be on a show with me and write for this thing? And she said, Todd, and she had this sweet voice of, I mean, imagine a 99-year-old.
Mm-hmm. I've taken care of many.
Right? Okay. She said, there is a statement that's really important to me. She said, I was taught early as a girl that we are to be openers of doors. All right. And there's a statement by Ralph Waldo Emerson. He says, be ye an opener of doors. Mm. And so what she said to me is, she said, Todd, I had to figure out, once I saw the qualities you wrote to me initially, I saw that passion that you had to be able to impact your audience. And she said, I knew that it was worth my investment in that because of what you were doing. So she said, figure out who in your life is willing to take steps forward and then open every door possible for them. Mm-hmm. She said, because somebody opened it for you, you're going to turn around and open the door for somebody else. Mm-hmm. And I'll tell you, it's one of those truisms that I have taken to heart so much. And the amount of students over the course of my journey that I've had that opportunity. And I mean, I've got two last year that I worked with heavily. They were trying to graduate early, and I was just walking through everything to help them through. And they were like, why? And I said, let me tell you this truth. And this truth is something you have to put into your heart, and you have to live that back to others. I said, I see you. I see the work that you're doing. I see the time that you put in. I see the heart that you have. I have an opportunity to open a door for you. Because of where I'm at in the journey, I can open a door for you. But there's somebody that's coming behind you. They haven't got to that point yet. So now, because I've let you in the door, now you've got to turn around and let other people in that door. Yeah. And I think that's one of the hard things that we deal with in our world, which is we recognize somebody opened the door for us. Yes. I mean, you know, no matter the old pull you up by your bootstraps story, somebody opened the door for us.
Somebody gave you them shoes.
That's right. And so if we don't pay that back, if we don't share that love for other people, if we don't share that story and that grace and that mercy and that care, the knowledge, whatever that thing is that we have been gifted, then we're being incredibly selfish.
And in that moment, we are actually doing exactly what Jesus commanded. So I'm going to say what Jesus commanded. Say again for me the phrase, because I got a revelation when you said it.
Yeah, be ye an opener of doors.
So be ye an opener of doors. If you actually pay attention to what he said, he said, be you an opener of doors.
That's right.
He didn't say be anybody other but yourself.
That's right.
And that will allow for you to be an opener of doors.
Absolutely.
And they say your gift will make room for you.
And you have to. You have to.
It all boils back to Jesus said, I gave you numerous opportunities to prove that you was who you said you was. I was hungry and you fed me not. I was naked and you did not give me any clothes. And they was like, what do you mean? I've never seen you before in my life. Yeah. All those many people that you passed by, they are a part of me. Yeah. I have an account of every opportunity you got to open a door for somebody who could not open it for themselves. Yes. And you did not do it. Yeah. And you're going to have to answer for that.
And you step back and you think about, we live in a culture that it's so easy to just be me and focus on me. And it's not even a real me.
No, that's the one you made up.
It's the me that I've set up on social media, or I've set up on my platform, whatever that is. And it's a portrayal. I mean, we're really good at acting. Yeah. But we aren't always very good at that whole community thing. I mean, go back to that village. What does it look like? You know, and I think, you know, wherever you're at out there, whatever it is that you're doing, think about, who are you supporting? You know, whose work are you standing there cheering on, because for some people you need to be the cheerleader.
Yes.
You need to say, look, I love what you're doing, keep it up, this is great.
Yes.
For other people, you need to say, how can I help and support? And your work is getting dirty as you get in and actively grind with them. And then for some people, it's when, depending on where you're at, it's the money. We've got those resources and we allocate those things.
What I need you to do is I need you to go to www.young&cultured.app. I repeat, www.young&cultured.app, and get you one today, man. Because if you ain't got it, you left out. And one thing you don't want to be is left out. Because trust me, everybody's about to have this shirt. Okay, so Todd, you're at the Innovation Portal.
Yes, sir.
What is your title?
So I'm the executive director.
You're the executive director.
Yes, sir.
There's someone above you?
I've got a board.
Wow. So is the Innovation Portal your baby, or were you hired on?
I was hired on. So I've been part of kind of the genesis of the portal throughout. So a friend of mine was the first executive director, and as it was kind of coming to fruition, she asked me to be on the board. So I served on the board for about 6 years. And then I made the transition in March. I left my role at the University of Mobile. I was vice president for academics up there to be able to come down and do this. And, it's such a neat experience because, one of the things, love the university, love the work that I was able to do, and I still teach every now and then up there. But on a daily basis, I have an opportunity to see people as they're working through their hopes and their dreams.
Wow.
And to me, one of the central things in my life is being part of development of others. And so if you kind of watch my whole journey, I joke like I'm a mutt when it comes to profession. So I worked in politics, I worked in ministry, I worked in higher ed recruitment, I worked in team building, I was an athletic coach, I was a nonprofit executive, started my own business, I taught and was an academic administrator, now back doing this stuff. And I said, if you look at it, for most people, they're like, who are you? What are you? That's just weird. And I look at it and I like, at the core, my sweet spot is development.
Yes.
Okay. So I love to be able to work with somebody where they're at and help them make those steps forward, whether that's in their spiritual walk, athletically, when it comes to a team, an organization, leadership, a business. That's the thing that I get super excited about when I see it.
So your purpose in life is to be a bridge.
Absolutely.
And how does that make your heart feel to know that you discovered it?
Oh, it was incredible because I'll tell you, it was the most awkward moment. I was getting ready to go speak. This is probably 9 years ago. I was getting ready to go speak to a middle school career fair. And a buddy of mine was a teacher there, and he was like, hey, why don't you come speak? And I was like, about what? Like, have you seen my journey? Like, I'm literally all over the place with it, not because I don't have a clue. It's because there were certain things that would drive the next step. So there was always something that would drive the next step. And I was getting ready to present the next day, and I really didn't know what I was going to present on. I really was kind of wrestling with this. And I was sitting there. A friend of mine had gotten into a crash, and so she went into the ER. She was fine, but I was sitting there waiting kind of for her to come out. And it was then like, you know what a Venn diagram is? The three circles, the spot in the middle. Yeah, it was then that I hit on that. And I hit on kind of a framework that I teach people all the time now. I said, when you're trying to figure out who you are, what you are, where you want to go, the thing that you have to remember is like you have passion and purpose. Yes. All right. You need those drivers there of passion and purpose. You have knowledge, skills, and ability. Those are the things that like they are you. Oftentimes they're the things somebody says, hey, you're really good at that. And you're like, I thought everybody was.
Yeah.
But no, it's you. And then I was looking at the idea of both experience, what have you done in the past, and opportunities, what does the future look like for that area? Okay. And so I landed on that kind of that framework as I was sitting there, and it was like the epiphany. It was, whoa. And so I started talking students through that and looking at my own journey. And so what I started doing, I wrote down literally every single one of my roles. Developer. every single one of the roles. You know, it was about developing something, taking something from where it was and moving it forward.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And once again, I started this interview by saying I had no idea what Todd did, but it's divine intervention that you're sitting in this chair because even I need you right now.
I feel it.
And I'm glad that you guys get to see that. So, yes, I have a lot of answers. I am full of knowledge and wisdom because I am a sponge when it comes to knowledge. I absorb it everywhere, but I realized my real niche in life was I naturally understand business.
Yeah.
Even if I don't know that I know what I know. Does that make sense?
Yep.
It's like I make good calls all the time with it, and it's not my money.
Yeah.
And it's like me and my wife joke all the time. She was like, if only you had the money, we would never need the money again.
Yeah.
If you only had it one time.
Yeah.
Because of the sage advice I've absorbed over all these years from people who have lost it.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. That's yep.
So it's like, wow. But it's always been a barrier, but I've hit this point where I'm ready to advance beyond. And my faith has finally got strong enough to take the step.
Okay.
And a lot of people don't want to mention that is the thing.
Yeah.
So most people got to be broken down.
Sure.
To the point they have nothing.
Yeah.
See, I watch somebody else break down.
Okay.
And leave without actually accomplishing more than making me proud. You get what I'm saying? They definitely made me proud. And I'm talking about my dad. He definitely made me proud. And I made him proud before he decided to leave this earth. However, I looked at his life and was like, he left some cards on the table. That ain't going to be me.
Yeah.
And I've already done some things, that people might consider achievements.
Sure.
And God have to remind me like, no, dude, you're amazing already.
Yeah. I think a lot of times that's what we judge success in other people, but we don't see it in ourselves.
Yeah.
Because it's so easy because we see that external and we see certain things that are deemed success. I mean, so you step back and you think, where do we put the accolades now? Trophies, money, awards. We look at positions. We look at fame. But the reality is those people are often more broken than we are.
Yes.
Because what they lack is they lack a wholeness. And so I think it's vitally important that we both stay whole and grow.
Yes, that's correct.
And so when we do that, we live into that opportunity that's moving forward. We live into that next step. And the reality is, I think a lot of times, if we didn't have an understanding of where we've come from, then when we got there, we wouldn't be doing it right.
Listen, that's perfect. That statement is perfect. Simply because I've always had a yearning for success.
Yeah.
But I defined it differently.
Okay, there you go. Yep.
Now I know I am successful, but now it's time. Now this version of success that I knew I could obtain, now there's a God component. And it's a little bit different now. See, now I got to show them that God make billionaires too.
Oh, yeah.
You get what I'm saying? Because we're not seeing too many.
Yeah.
Hardly any
of
God's billionaires. Because they were taught, a life of modesty and all of those things.
Sure.
Which modesty is an attitude. It's not a financial statement.
Well, and I think what you see oftentimes is that the people that have achieved that wealth, but God is at the core of it, the way they use that wealth is different.
Yes.
And I think is it a tool for the good of others, or is it a reward that I get to flash at people? And I think those are two totally different things.
It definitely is. But I feel like my culture, black culture has gotten to a point now where what is considered flashy now is extreme compared to what it was. So like, for instance, now if I got a gold watch and a chain, being a Christian man, it's not looked at twice. Like,
sure.
It's fine. You get what I'm saying? Because those who are living a different lifestyle got on 10 chains and 30 watches and driving 6 of these cars that I only have 1 of.
That's right.
Do you get what I'm saying? And I feel like I had to say, like I was talking to my bishop about one time, I explained to her, I said, you know why the children are choosing to go that way? Is because it looks more fun over there.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm not going to lie to them and tell them that it's not hard over here. But I will tell them it's worth it over here. Yeah. Do you like what I drive? Do you see my family? We're actually happy.
Sure.
You get what I'm saying?
That's
well,
right.
How is that all possible? I said, well, my starting point was here.
Yeah.
I learned how to get my head low. I learned the lower I got to the ground, the higher in the air I could fly. Because it helped me realize anything was possible. Yeah. The moment I could pray for a pair of shoes and the shoes didn't show up, but the path to get those shoes showed up. Yes, it took some work. Yeah. But the path showed up and I have zero regrets. Like I don't have to deal with any backlash from me getting a pair of shoes. From me I got video games over there people are having a tough time getting. Yeah. I just pray real hard about it. Yeah. And we talked about my vision board earlier. Sure. Both of those were on my vision board. Yeah. I got them 6 months apart. That's not supposed to happen. Yeah. At all. Yeah. Especially not for somebody like me. I just got this house in December. I had my wife, I used it on her. I said, here go a piece of paper. Write out your house. Write it out. I said, and God said, don't leave nothing out. Yeah. Down to the T. We in that house. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. We're here. Yeah. We're here. And by the way, I had her do that roughly about 8 months before we got it. And a month prior to us getting this house, there was no way in the world we could get a house. Sure. I just want you to know that. Yeah. One day God spoke to me and said, no, it's time for y'all to move. Yeah. Y'all need to move now. And I was like, okay, I'm going to tell my wife I'm going to get on the journey. I don't know what we finna do. I came home and I said, hey, God said we got to move now with no prospects. We don't know what we're going to do, but we got to move right now. No lie, that same day my mom came over and was like, hey, I just talked to this realtor, and we got pretty good chances. I was like, do you have his information? I ain't tell her nothing. I said, I just want to try him out and see, because we just got to know. Okay. Yep. You get what I'm saying? We just got to know. Yep. And no lie, I talked to this guy 40 days later, we was in this house. Wow. With no prospects. Wow. So yeah. I know if he will do that for me, there is no way that he won't. And I can honestly tell you, ever since we got into this house, I do not flash this house. Nobody on the internet sees this house. Yeah. But the loved ones and now friends that come over, I show them every piece of it. Yeah. Why? Because I want them to see what God did. Yeah. Because I could tell them, he could do this for you. Yeah, I mean, I think that's the amazing thing is our God is a God of journeys. He's a God of journeys. We're on that journey. We're making those steps forward, and I think we oftentimes we get to points where we see how He's worked, and the key for you then, Ted, is now that you're here, never forgetting the journey that got you through this, never forgetting the God of second chances, the God who leads, and to be able to continue to work that thing forward. Because I think that's one of the beautiful pieces of it is you're not done. Yeah. You're not done. Yeah. Because He's not done. At all. And I think we walk through that journey, and it's, I love the fact that I'm not a completed project, because there's a whole lot that I still feel like is possible. I still feel like there's a whole lot there. So. What's so crazy about you saying you're not done, right? So what age was it that Jesus started on His ministry? I mean, He was 30. He was 30. All right, so what's the significance of the age 30? Do you know that people of the Jewish and Hebrew community do not allow for their children to leave home until the age of 30? Why? Because your brain hasn't really fully developed yet. Yes. In order for you to understand the constructs of building wealth in a family. Sure. So you have to. So at any given time, there are 3 generations in one home. Yeah. Yeah. And so you can really learn from the pitfalls of those before, which is why they have generational wealth. Yeah. So I just think about my journey up until this point. This is actually the beginning. Yeah.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
it's
absolutely.
actually the very beginning of the journey.
Yeah.
And it's like, wow. And then I was watching Myron Golden online. I don't know if you know him. Mm-mm. He's a multimillionaire who makes money off of making other millionaires.
Okay.
That's literally his job. How crazy is that?
Yeah.
So in everything he teaches these millionaires, or he teaches these people to become millionaires, are based off biblical principles. So he pointed out in the word, and he said, if you see it in this book, it not only exists, but it's for you. It's in your favor. You just aren't aware of it. So what he talked about was how Abram went from Abraham. You know, Abram was 75 years old.
Oh, he's an old man.
And the promise he received from God was 25 years prior to him receiving it.
Yeah.
He was 100 when he got the first of the things.
That's why his wife laughed.
That's exactly why she laughed.
No, there ain't no baby happening here. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's like, a lot of the times we think it's over.
Sure.
And the reason it hadn't started yet is because either we haven't received the word or we haven't believed the word that we received. Now, the difference is, I believed mine since I was 12 years old. I had a prophet come to our church, and he touched my hands. He said, you know, you got the spirit of Joseph all over you. Now, I didn't know who he was talking about. I thought he was talking about Jesus' daddy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, am I going to become a carpenter like Jesus' daddy?
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I was, being a kid watching movies, Joseph, King of Dreams.
King of Dreams, yeah.
And I watched that movie all my life, and I did not realize until I got into my 20s what he was actually saying. Yeah. Joseph had enough, it was his gifting from God to not only dream, but he had business acumen to make the right moves at the right times.
I mean, you think about it, that was he was going up against not just a small issue. He was going up against a big one. And
everybody was going to die if he made the wrong move.
Yeah. So we walk through that. And I think that's one of the reasons why when you look at Jesus, he says, be wise as serpents, be harmless as doves. Yeah. I mean, you got to understand that there's got to be a wisdom that takes place in the things that we do. And so, never jumping out in a sense that we're not grounded in who he is first. So, yeah.
And until you fully know who he is, you don't know who you are.
And that's the discovery. I mean, that's where, again, that goes back to that journey. We're not done yet. Yeah. We keep coming through that pathway. And that's the other thing I think it's great. We go back again to that idea of people surrounding us. There's always somebody that has gone further on the journey than you. And there's always somebody coming behind you. So the idea and the opportunity to be able to look ahead to mentors and look back to people who you need to mentor is a big part of that. Because, nobody wants to go alone. The reality is nobody wants to go alone. Let's not go alone. Let's do it together. No, let's do it together.
Man, that's so crazy. So currently, with your current life, you are married?
I am married. Been married for 17 years. 2 kids, a dog, a guinea pig, 2 fish, and what feels like about 1,000 other things.
And you look like you enjoy your life.
I do. And I think it's important to say that I enjoy it. It doesn't mean it's not hard. It doesn't mean it doesn't tire me out. There are days I come home from work and I just want to crash. It's tiring. And so I think it's an important thing. I find joy in what I do. I find joy in my family. I find joy in the people I'm around. But it's also tough. It's hard work. It's hard work. It's a grind a lot of times. But, absolutely, it's a blast.
Man, this has been an amazing conversation.
Thank you.
If you have been paying attention, I hope that you're part of one of our subscription-based platforms, simply because we have a small segment I'm going to do with Todd that I do with people that I respect, or people who I feel like just going to give you some good game, and it's going to be called Get the Bag. So if you're not a part of helping me take care of my family, it's easy to do. All you got to do is make sure you click on my Linktree account and pick one of those platforms in order to contribute to my life. Or you can always go to young&cultured.app and make a purchase of a clothing item. That helps take care of my family as well. So like always, I am Said, aka King Dope, the king of all things dope. I've had on this show Todd Greer, and we bid you a live humble and prosper.
I've been through a lot. And only one thing ever really sticks to me. No matter what I go through, it always affects me. When I hustle up or don't have a dime, I'ma go mine. Good times and the bad times, they heavy on my mind. Tapered up, arms starch down. Either way is mine. I feel fine, but everything